In this video, we are talking about verb tense. Verb is one of our parts of speech, and that is our action words. And our example verb that we're using to look at all of our different types of verb tenses is going to be run, to show you what, you might be running into. So we are really used to looking at our present tense, just runs every day, and our past tense, just ran every day. But the reality is we have a ton of different types of verb tenses. We have future, we have past perfect, present perfect, all that kind of stuff. You might recognize those names if you've taken another language, but we really don't talk about our verb tenses that much in English because, we've already grown used to using them. So Jess will run tomorrow, Jess is going to run tomorrow, Jess has run for years, Jess will have run for 20 years, Jess walked the course that she had run over 20 times. All of these are different types of verb tenses. And the good news is that you actually don't really need to know the names of the different verb tenses, but you have to know when they are not agreeing with the other verbs in a passage. So let's look at this simple sentence to identify the verb error. The dog barked, the horse neighed, and the car crashes into the barn. We have past tense with barked, past tense with neighed, and then we have present tense with crashes. So these are in alignment with each other, but crashes is not. So simply enough, we just have to move it to past tense, just like the other verbs. The car crashed into the barn. So again, it's easier to tell with simple sentences. And in this sentence, the error was right there. And we didn't actually have to look at any other context. What happened before didn't matter because the parallelism is right here in this independent clause. But it's a really important reminder that sometimes to tell that there's a verb tense error, you also need to look at the sentence before or after it. So let's look at this example. I've worked at the inn for over 20 years now. I'm able to cook for over 50 guests in an evening, but I wasn't thrilled to do so. So here we have I've worked, and our verbs are hiding a little bit here. So this is a little bit trickier, but I have worked. I am able to cook for over 50 guests, but I was not thrilled to do so. So have, am, but then was suddenly turns into past tense and differs from these verbs up here. So we know that no change can't work. I am usually not thrilled to do so. So this would be our right answer because was would still be in past tense, which wouldn't be correct. I weren't. That is especially wrong because it's past tense and doesn't agree with the subject, which is I. So I am usually not thrilled would be our best choice here. So just keep in mind that to make that decision, we were looking at the previous independent clause and the full sentence that came before it. So context is really important for judging which verb tense to use and to make sure that they're all in agreement within a passage. Paying attention to time can also be helpful because if we erase all of this right here and change our sentence around a little bit, let's say the original sentence says, I've worked at the inn for over 20 years now. I'm able to cook for over 50 guests in an evening, but I wasn't thrilled to do so when Jamie asked last week. So suddenly, our correct answer would be no change. I've worked at the inn for over 20 years now. I'm able to cook for over 50 guests in an evening, but I wasn't thrilled to do so when Jamie asked last week. These are correct, and this stays correct because we have this time that happened in the past, this specific instance. So Keeping in mind that we're looking at time, we're looking at the sentences before, the sentence that the verb occurs in, and the sentence or clause phrase afterwards to ensure that we are in agreement.